Have you ever let a contemptuous look or just a careless comment from someone ruin your entire day? A surge of emotions, rising words spoken in a moment of anger, and then the regret, the remorse repeating over and over in your mind. Why are we so easily controlled by emotions, and how can we reclaim control over our own minds? Have you ever experienced a moment where just a little anger was enough to ruin your whole day? A slight insult, like a breeze, a rude comment on social media, yet it has the power to drag your emotions to the bottom. You feel lost, trapped in a whirlpool of emotions, and then accidentally say things that make you feel tormented afterward. So what makes us feel helpless in the face of anger? More importantly, how can we learn to control it? Stoics believe that the real battle does not take place outside, but within your own mind. Not others, not circumstances, but you are the one who decides your emotions. They do not teach you to shout to win an argument. They teach you to win through silence. The power lies in your ability not to react, not to give others the power to disturb your inner peace. And in this video, you will discover how not to let anyone or anything make you angry anymore. Not by suppressing emotions, but by resetting the entire way you react to the world. You will learn simple yet powerful techniques, strategies once used on the battlefield to help you pause before reacting, step away from unnecessary chaos, and master your emotions like a true warrior of the inner self. You are not weak for struggling with emotions. You are simply doing what every man has done, facing the fire of anger and the cold of disrespect. But very few know how to overcome it, and that is your opportunity to be different. If you have ever felt tired of being controlled by emotions, then this video is for you. Like the video, subscribe to continue receiving profound Stoic strategies. And do not forget to share with someone who is searching for peace. Because when you truly understand Stoicism, you not only control your anger, but also become invincible. And that changes everything. But to begin change, we must look back at a truth. Your anger is not something you were born with. In the previous part, we realized that anger is not human nature, but a learned response and can be changed. Now let us go deeper into the mindset of Stoics, where silence is the highest expression of strength. In a room full of noise and confrontation, the most powerful man is not the loudest. He is the one who remains silent, unshaken, not impulsive, and most importantly, does not let his inner peace be disturbed by trivial and petty matters. You know, anger is not simply an emotion. It is a habit, and like all other habits, it can be broken. But to do that first, you must see it for what it really is, a chain reaction repeating because you have unconsciously fueled it. Someone interrupts you. Your boss badmouths you behind your back. Your partner drops a cold, sharp remark, and before reason can intervene, your mouth explodes like a bomb. It is a cycle, and sadly many men live their entire lives trapped in it and believe that is just who I am, I cannot change. But for the Stoic, the perspective is entirely different. Anger is not a character trait. They see it as a cleverly disguised weakness. Epictetus, a Stoic master, once said, "Anyone capable of anger is a slave to it." It sounds harsh, but think about it. Every time you react instinctively, you give your power to what triggered you. You become predictable, easy to manipulate, and most importantly, you gradually lose your self-control. Imagine a familiar scene. You are standing in line at a public office, like a registration center. After nearly an hour of waiting, suddenly someone cuts in front of you blatantly. You feel your chest tighten, your jaw clench. A command rings in your head. React. That moment right there is your battlefield. You have two choices. Continue fighting a battle you always lose. Or stop and ask yourself, Will getting angry now make things better? You already know the answer. Because you have tried, and what did you get? More tension, more regret, more distance between you and the ideal man you were trying to become. And right at this point, Stoicism appears as a complete shift. You do not need to suppress emotions. You just need to take a step back from them. Imagine emotions like clouds drifting across the sky. You cannot stop them from coming, but you can choose not to grab onto them. You acknowledge the presence of anger, but you do not let it take you wherever it wants. It is the mind-clear reason that holds the wheel. And that is the true power of the Stoic forged through inner discipline. Most men grow up believing that anger is a sign of caring, that staying calm means weakness, not caring. But the truth is the opposite. Anyone can lose control. That is easy. What is hard is staying calm when everything around is trying to pull you away from it. What is hard is when someone disrespects you, you still do not give them the satisfaction of seeing you angry. And that is when you begin to step out of the old reaction loop. But to move forward firmly, you must learn to master the moment before it takes over you. When you remain calm in anger, you do not lose, you are winning. In the previous part, we talked about stepping out of the emotional storm using reason. Now is the time for you to understand more clearly that timely silence is not weakness, it is true dominance. When life throws chaos at you and you stand still, unshaken, unrebellious, that is control, that is strength. So next time when you feel anger starting to burn in your chest, when the hot blood begins to rise, when your hands clench, when your mouth is about to unleash sharp words, what do? You stop, you take a deep breath, and remind yourself this anger is just a habit, I no longer need to carry it. Then you walk away, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough not to waste energy on what is not worth it. You are not here to be controlled by emotions. You are here to reclaim your inner power, and that does not come from changing the world out there. It begins with how you choose to respond. Respond like a man who has mastered his mind. Respond like a Stoic's second lesson, instead of trying to control others. Learn to control yourself, exploding, shouting, pounding the table, storming out of the room. Too easy, anyone can do that when offended or cornered. Many men still choose anger to regain a fleeting sense of power, but that is only fake power. It erupts quickly and fades even faster. What remains a sense of emptiness, weakness, and guilt. True control does not lie in pushing others down, but in holding your ground in the most stressful moments. Anger is deceitful. It whispers in your ear, if you do not react, you are weak, that if someone pushes, you push back harder. That silence means surrender, but pause and think again, honestly. How many times has anger really solved your problems? You shouted, they shouted louder, you won the argument, but lost sleep over what you said. You proved you were right, but lost a valuable relationship, and in the end, you still felt drained because you never truly had control. You were only reacting now. Imagine this. You were in a meeting, the manager publicly belittles your idea in front of the team. The criticism is personal, even condescending. You feel the heat rise in your chest, the instinct to strike back immediately, to speak your truth, but then a voice in your head says, if I react now, I will only make things worse, and you choose differently. You take a deep breath, you say thank you for the feedback, I will think more about it. Then you continue the meeting like a professional. Later in private, you address it clearly, not with emotion, but with reason. That is control, that is true power, that is Stoic. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic does not live by pride, they live by principle. They choose intentional response, not emotional reaction. They choose clarity over chaos, and they understand What many men still do, not trying to control others, is always a losing game. The only thing you have, and always will have, is how you choose to show up. And to truly master that, you must understand something deeper. Strength is not in anger, but in calm amid the storm. In the previous section, we talked about the power of self-control in the midst of rage. Now, let us look straight into a common misunderstanding, a subtle trap that many men are still caught in. The biggest mistake many men make is believing that silence is a sign of weakness, that if you walk away you appear less strong, less manly in the eyes of others. But think back to the last time you saw someone lose control, yelling, slamming the table, getting angry. Did you really respect them more, or did they seem to lose their grounding and power in your eyes? Anger is loud, but respect, it whispers. It does not need shouting, it does not need finger pointing. When you stay calm under provocation, you become untouchable, and paradoxically, that calmness makes others more unsettled than any scream. Walking the Stoic path does not mean you stay silent forever. It only means you choose when and how you speak from reason, not impulse. When you learn to delay your reaction, to let the emotion pass before you act, you open up a space, a precious gap between emotion and action, and in that space you find clarity. You make better decisions, you keep your self-respect. Next time, when someone disrespects you, be careful, do not fall into the trap. Let them act like children, you remain like a rock. Not because you are afraid to react, but because you refuse to be dragged into their emotional storm. You rise above it, not for them, but for yourself. That is true control. Not saying the last word, but holding the last piece. So start today. Do not try to control the room, control your breath. Control your words, your face, your energy, and then you will walk out of every conflict with one thing that most men have never kept: your dignity intact, and that is a victory no one can take from you. Third lesson, build calmness like a muscle through daily training. You cannot expect to stay composed in chaos if you never practice it, but that is what most men forget. They wait until they are angry, hurt, or under pressure before trying to manage emotions. But emotional strength does not show up on demand. It is trained, it is built, and it is born in quiet moments when no one is watching. Just as the body will not be healthy without regular training, your mind will not be resilient under pressure if you have never trained it daily. Self-control is not a switch to flip, it is a skill, and skills need to be trained. Imagine a man who has never touched a weight suddenly walks into a gym and tries to lift 300 pounds. What will happen? He will be crushed. Your emotions are the same. If you have never practiced the habit of stopping, breathing, sitting with discomfort instead of reacting, then the first time life hits you hard, you will collapse, not because you are weak, but because you have never been trained. Now imagine this: you come home after a long day. Remaining calm in big matters begins with mastering the very small ones. And you will be surprised to find that it is those seemingly ordinary moments where strength is forged. Your child carelessly spills water on the laptop. You are working on your instinct, flares up like fire. You want to yell, scold, release your anger. But this time something holds you back. You have trained yourself for this moment. You do not react immediately. You pause, you breathe, then you simply say, "Clean it up." It sounds simple, trivial, but it is not an ordinary moment. It is a repetition, a small act but full of power, and repetitions like these will help you stand firm in much greater storms. Stoicism was not made for hermits living in mountains, isolated from life. It was born in the arena of real life, for soldiers, for leaders, for workers, for fathers, for those living amidst stress, noise, responsibility, and conflict. And what this philosophy teaches you is not to escape into isolation, but that peace does not come from avoiding the world. It comes from training the mind to remain calm in the storm, and that training begins with the smallest things: waking up early to reflect, writing a few lines before bed, choosing silence, instead of sarcasm. When someone disappoints you, sounds simple, right? But these are not hollow rituals, they are strength training for the soul. The mistake many men make is waiting until the fire flares up to start controlling it, but life does not work that way. You do not wait until you are on the battlefield to learn how to fight. You prepare ahead. You establish daily rituals, small acts that help you focus, deepen your breath, sharpen your mind, because when pressure comes, you do not rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. The Stoic understands this very clearly. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his journal every day, reflecting on what made him angry, what challenged him, and how he could respond better tomorrow, not because he was weak, but because he wanted to be stronger. And Epictetus once said, discipline does not begin with grand actions, it begins with controlling your thoughts and emotions every day. They did not wait for emotions to come and then try to act calm. They practiced calmness as a habit, not a reaction, but a proactive preparation. So, if you want to be the man not controlled by anger, start by being the man who is always prepared. Sit down and stay with your discomfort instead of running off. 2 distractions. Pay attention to your breath. When you want to say something sharp, take 5 minutes each night to reflect. Sounds small, not at all. These are your emotional weights. No one is born a Stoic. No one wakes up with perfect self-control, but the man who commits, repeats, and trains. Every day he will become invincible. You build calm like any other capacity, with effort, with discipline, with time. So do not wait for the world to test you. Be the one who is ready ahead of time, because the test will surely come. You cannot control every storm, but you can control yourself when the storm comes. And to do that, you need one thing: check in with yourself every day. The one who trains his mind in silence will be the one who stands firm when the noise floods. In lesson 4, let go of what no longer serves you. You have planned the perfect day. Wake up early, train hard, finish your work, feel like you are getting closer to your peak. Then traffic hits. The meeting is cancelled last minute. Your boss dumps a pile of unexpected work. Everything goes off track and you feel the frustration rise fast. What you feel, the pressure in your chest, the burn rising in your throat, does not come from the event, it comes from your resistance to it. You are not angry because things changed. You are angry because you thought they would not change. But life does not need your permission to shift directions. The world does not care about the schedule you mapped out in your head, and the more you cling to how you want things to happen, the more you make yourself suffer. That is not weakness, that is attachment. An unchecked attachment becomes a trap that imprisons you. A man who needs everything to go his way to stay calm is a man who will never touch true peace. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means seeing clearly what is not worth holding on to. Letting go is about learning to distinguish between what is in your hands and what is slipping out of them, no matter how tightly you try to hold on. Stoics understand this more than anyone. They do not waste energy on traffic, on rude words, or on disrupted plans. They keep that energy for what they can control: their character, their mindset, their response. So when something unexpected breaks your rhythm, do not react immediately. Step back and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then do not add fuel to the fire with your attention. Let it pass like a short rain. You do not ignore it, but you also do not let yourself be swept away by it. That is not denial, that is discipline. The mistake many men make is believing that control means forcing everything to go their way, but real control is adaptation. Power does not lie in making the world obey you, but in staying calm when it does not. And that is why Stoicism is not passive. It does not teach you to be indifferent. It teaches you to stop wasting care on things that cannot be changed. That very choice in that very moment will unlock the full strength of your inner power, reserved for what truly matters. Now imagine this: you are in a parking lot, a stranger accidentally backs into your car, leaving a visible dent. He steps out, glances at it, then shrugs as if saying, "It is no big deal." In a split second, you feel like exploding, want to speak up, want justice, but after the initial wave of emotion, you pause, you take a breath and ask yourself, will getting angry at him remove the dent? Will he care more? The answer is no. So you choose a different path. You do the necessary paperwork. You stay calm, you protect your energy, and then you drive away, not just with a damaged bumper, but with your dignity intact. That is a move, a real victory. Not because you easily forgave him, but because you did not let him take anything from you. Not your peace, not your sleep, not your mental health. You kept all of it because you learned to let go of what is not worth holding on to. The strength of a Stoic does not lie in yelling. It does not lie in holding on. It lies in knowing when to release, to free yourself from what cannot be changed, and in that release, you discover a deep kind of power, real control. Start asking yourself more often, is this thought worth keeping? If not, let it go. Because the man who knows what to carry and what to leave behind is no longer angry at every storm. He walks through chaos with calm, with clarity, and with an unshaken mind, and that man, amid all the noise, still controls himself. Lesson 5. Turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. You cannot avoid conflict. As long as you are alive, working, building something real, you will face clashes. Someone will misunderstand you, challenge you, speak ill of you, or push you to your limits. That is life, but sadly most men approach conflict with reaction. They see it as a threat to their ego, to their pride, a battle to win, to prove they are right, so they tense up, puff up, try to dominate, but in doing so, they miss the true nature of conflict. It is not a threat to your power, it is a mirror of it. Conflict shows you where you are still losing control, where ego still overrides. Reason where the opinions of others still steer your actions, and for that reason, Stoics do not see conflict as a problem, they see it as training. Another repetition, an occasion to strengthen the mind, to refuse being pulled down by the noise of the world. Picture this, you are in line at a hardware store. You wait patiently as the clerk helps someone else. Suddenly, a man behind you cuts ahead, waves his receipt, and demands to be served. Now he raises his voice. People turn to look, and you stand there, heart racing, jaw tight, anger flares. You feel ready to snap, but you do not. Instead of letting the anger steer you, you step back, not backward, but inward. You ask yourself, what is really at risk here? My time, my ego, or the peace I have worked hard to build? And in that moment, you do not dive into chaos, you rise above it. That is not surrender, that is power, a silent, sharp, and deeply grounded strength. The mistake many men make is thinking calmness means weakness, that if you do not react, others will walk over you, but the truth is the opposite. Every time you let emotion burst, instead of mastering it, you lose a bit of inner power. Stoics do not run from confrontation. They just do not let it hijack their mind. They speak up when needed, but not with flames of rage. They speak with clarity, because they know the only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering yourself to deserve that disrespect. The more you treat each confrontation as a test of control, not a battle of right and wrong, the steadier you become. Conflict no longer feels like a battlefield. It becomes a training ground for your character. You stop wasting energy on petty arguments. You stop letting small people shrink the vastness inside you, and instead, you use every moment to build your strength. That is how Marcus Aurelius lived, an emperor ruling an empire, facing betrayal, war, politics, yet he chose stillness. He did not chase revenge, he pursued integrity, because he knew every interaction, no matter how small, was a chance to practice self-control, not once, but every day. And men who live that way do not just get through conflict, they move through it unchanged. They are not easily hurt, not easily shaken. So next time someone makes you angry, try this. Instead of reacting, say nothing. Instead of proving yourself, save your energy. Instead of letting their chaos infect you, become the calm they can never reach, not to look noble, not to be liked, but because you have trained yourself to rise above what is not worth stumbling over. You are not here to react to every insult. You are here to sharpen your precision and your peace, and every conflict is a chance to do just that, to respond with control. That is how you win, and each time you do, you are proving something far greater than superiority. You are proving that you have mastered the hardest battlefield yourself. Lesson 6. Always be present, because it is not the event that makes you angry, it is your imagination. You are not angry at what happened. You are angry at what you think might happen. Your mind is 10 steps ahead or 10 steps behind. You are not angry because of what people said, but because you believe they meant something deeper, because you imagined what might happen next, because you interpreted the meaning of their words, or because you were struggling over how you should respond. What makes you angry is not outside, it is the noise in your head. That is where most of your suffering begins, not from the event, but from the stories you tell yourself. And until you learn to stop living in the past or worrying about the future, you will always lose control in the only moment that truly matters, the present. Men do not often talk about this, but it happens all the time. You are driving and someone cuts you off, just 3 seconds of inconvenience, but in your head it becomes a 30-minute movie. You imagine shouting, confronting, putting him in his place to teach him a lesson. You carry that anger into the next call, the next meeting, even into dinner with your family. That moment has passed, but your mind is still dragging it along like a heavy chain clanking inside. And that is how small things become burdens, not because they are big, but because you never learned how to let them go the moment they happened. Stoicism does not let you get trapped in those spirals. It cuts the mental chaos like a sharp blade. It reminds you that you only have now, and in the present moment there is no insult, no imagined outcome, no history to rewrite. There is only breath, there is only action, there is only choice. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to return to the present. Each time his mind wandered, he reminded himself of one simple but powerful phrase: you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say and think. Not tomorrow, not after you win the argument, right now. The trap most of us fall into is believing our thoughts are always true, that if we think it, then it must be real. But most of what you react to does not exist. They are imaginations. Stoics understand that an untrained mind is the root of so much unnecessary suffering. Imagination, if not controlled, will create enemies that never appeared. It constructs arguments no one actually said. It keeps you awake over words others might say, but never actually did. So try this. You are about to have a conversation with someone you dislike. You are already defensive, preparing to clash, but pause. Ask yourself, why am I tense? Is it because of what they said, or just what I think they might say? And when you realize that the tension comes from a future you made up, you can step back and live in the present. Maybe they will insult you, maybe they will not. But whatever happens, you will handle it better when your mind is no longer led by imagined scenarios. That is why mindfulness is not some shallow spiritual hobby. It is a tactical advantage. It keeps your mind sharp when your instincts want chaos. And no, you do not need to meditate for hours. You just need to pay attention. Your breath, your posture, the sound in the room, the feeling of your feet on the floor. Every time your mind starts telling a story, gently bring it back. You train it like you train a muscle to stay, to be present. And when you can do that, you stop overreacting to things that have not even happened. You stop reliving things you cannot change. You stop rehearsing words you do not need to say. And then you begin to respond, not from worry, not from fear, but from full presence. That is where your calm lives. That is where your real power exists. You cannot control what has happened. You cannot control what has not happened, but you can control this moment right here, and if you can hold the present just for a few breaths, you are not just practicing stoicism, you are living freely, and that is the kind of power no one can take from you. Lesson 7. Let go of the burden of resentment before it drains you, before it makes you old in spirit. Resentment is not just a simmering emotion. It is something that poisons the mind and wears down your body. Little by little, you have seen it. The man who looks tired, even though he sleeps enough. The one who walks heavily, though he carries nothing. The one who flinches at kindness, only because betrayal is all he has known. That weight does not come from matter, it comes from unfreed emotion. The more you hold on to anger, blame, bitterness, the more it eats at your life energy, eroding your clarity, your ease, and your ability to trust. The sad part is, most men do not even realize it is happening. They think they are over it just because they do not talk about it anymore. But silence is not healing, and just because you do not mention it does not mean it is not affecting how you speak, how you love, how you live. The resentment you carry from 5 years ago still weighs down your shoulders, even in sleep. You wonder why you react fast and hard every time someone crosses a line. It is not just about the present, it is the past you have not released, and that is why Stoics do not see forgiveness as a moral duty. They see it as a form of self-defense. Letting go is not about accepting the wrong that happened, it is about refusing to let those things keep holding you, because every bit of resentment you hold steals a part of your peace in the present, and the truth is no one deserves that kind of power over your life, not even the one who hurt you. Epictetus once said, "You may tie my legs, but not even Zeus has the power to break my will." That is what forgiveness means in Stoicism. It is not forgiveness to forget. It is not forgiveness to accept. It is the refusal to be chained from within. Remember the moment someone crossed your boundary. They may have lied, abandoned you, or hurt you in public. You told yourself, "I will never forget," and maybe you truly never did. But if every time you think of them, your stomach tightens, your energy drains, your peace dissolves, then that is not power, that is a punishment you are inflicting upon yourself. You are reliving what they did long after they have probably stopped thinking about it, and that is the trap. Thinking that holding on will protect you when in reality it only makes you weaker. Stoics do not carry anger like armor, they release it like fire, because they understand that fire will burn the one who holds it. Forgiveness is not about placing trust in others. Again, it is about reclaiming space in your heart for gentler, kinder things, and it begins with a choice. The choice to stop feeding the old story, to stop repeating the wound until it cuts deeper with each memory. You are in the break room, someone makes a snide remark, you know it is a jab. You could react, tell your friends, replay it in your head until midnight, or you could simply smile, not because you are weak, but because you are done carrying trash that does not belong to you. You breathe, walk out of the room, and leave it all behind. That is not just peace, that is power, that is self. That is knowing what deserves your energy and what does not. And when you truly let go of resentment, you feel it in your posture, in how deeply you sleep, in how clearly you think. Forgiveness is not a gift for others, it is a gift you give to yourself. To stop dragging the past into the present, to open your life forward. The man who walks lightly is the man who lives freely. The man who knows how to put down burdens is the man who can walk farther, and what makes you walk lightest and firmest is not defeating someone, it is stopping before reacting. A single word, a glance, a sigh can pull you into anger if you do not pause. Most men react instinctively, automatically driven by emotion. They do not realize that between the moment of being triggered and the explosion there is a tiny space, and that is where Stoicism begins. The space between what happens and how you choose to respond is where you reclaim mastery over your life. And if you can pause even for a heartbeat, you will not Only avoid needless consequences. You will begin to live differently. Every time you pause, you become stronger. Every time you keep calm, you lift yourself out of emotional traps life constantly lays, because true power is not in silencing others. It is in keeping your mind from being swept into their chaos. No one is born with total control, but the one who trains daily, who chooses intentional response over automatic reflex, that is the one who walks through life with clarity, calm, and freedom. And you can be that man, not by being perfect, but by choosing self-mastery in each moment that is stoic, that is you. And that is power no one can take from you. That is the true battlefield, not in arguments, not in insults, but in the moment. You take a breath and decide whether to respond as the man you once were or the man you are becoming. Most people do not. See that space. Emotions flood their awareness like a wave and carry them away. But when you start to notice it, that brief moment between spark and fire, you begin to see that you have more control than you ever thought. And how much of it you have lost simply by not pausing. You are at home and your teenage son talks back. A tone, a defiant look, stings you. You almost shout, but something holds you back. You take a breath and simply say, "I will respond in a minute." That moment is power, not the silence of fear, but the silence of intention. You just broke a cycle of reaction that had repeating in countless families, and you begin to rewrite a new cycle. Instead of reacting instinctively, you create space for choice, for clarity. That is what Stoics train, not to extinguish emotions, but to master the moment. Marcus Aurelius did not say, "Do not feel." He said, "Do not act if it does not serve a higher purpose." And that benefit sometimes begins with a pause. We live in a world that demands immediate reactions, must reply to messages immediately, refute immediately, defend oneself immediately. But emotional discipline does not come from speed, but from precision. Say the right thing at the right time, with the right mindset. You cannot do that if adrenaline is speaking for you. You need to stop, breathe, name the emotion before it acts on your behalf. No need for years of meditation. Just one choice. When pressure floods in, you stop. Tell yourself, "I do not need to react right now." You step into another room, breathe 10 times, ask, "What do I truly want?" And then, only when clear, you speak. You act not from instinct, but from will. The Stoic man is not cold, he is clear-headed, not slow, but calm. He does not extinguish emotions, he leads emotions. Because in that pause, he sees consequences, sees opportunities, and steps into both with steadiness. From this moment, see each stressful moment as a place for you to practice. When your heart beats fast, when your cheeks heat up, when your fists clench, do not rush to react, not yet. Let that moment settle. Hold on to it, because the moment you pause is the moment you regain everything. And if you find this video valuable, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying the lessons from Stoicism, and share this video with the man you believe is also seeking inner steadiness. Because true strength is not dominating others, but mastering oneself. And you deserve that strength. And then you stop, take a deep breath, and decide how you will proceed. Because the man who masters the pause, who can stand amidst the flow of emotions without being swept away, not only wins an argument, he conquers himself. And that is a victory worth choosing, time and again. Now you know you are no longer a prisoner of emotions. You are not bound by anger, resentment, or the need to react immediately. What the Stoics lived, what Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus left behind, is not passive peace, but cultivated tranquility. Self-control does not come from denying emotions, but from discipline. And peace is not weakness, but a kind of silent strength, honed through each moment of choice. We have journeyed together through understanding anger as a habit that can be let go, seeing that true strength lies in the ability to master the inner self, and realizing that calmness does not come naturally, it is built daily like a muscle, through small actions, by stopping, breathing, choosing the right thing instead of the easy one. You have seen that letting go is not giving up, but wisdom, that living fully in the present is the strongest barrier against distraction, that in every stressful moment, you always have a choice, a pause, a narrow gap to train yourself. This is not theory, not a philosophy to admire from afar. This is your real life. It lies in how you respond to the words of a tired partner, how you maintain yourself amidst the pressure of meetings, how you stay silent in the face of attacks and still do not stray from your core values. Each time you do that, you are practicing, and the more you practice, the more it becomes a new instinct. You will no longer be shaken by every little thing. You begin to become steady, calm, unassailable. Therefore, I invite you not tomorrow, but today to begin. Train your breath, hold back your words, master the pauses. Build a mind not easily shaken by what it cannot control. If these things are meaningful to you, if you have ever experienced a moment where you maintained calmness when you could have exploded, please share that story in the comments, because it is those shares that help us learn more deeply, help others stand firmer, and help us grow together. Finally, remember this: the man who can master himself, master his thoughts, reactions, and energy is the one who truly owns his life. And that is the kind of strength no one can take away, no one at all.